Welcome to HyzerMedia's coverage of the Norse Gods Championship 2022. We are looking at the second round, still at DF Buchmiller Park. This whole tournament is sponsored by Central PA Disc Golf, and coverage is brought to you in part by our Patreon family. If you'd like to be part of our Patreon, go check out patreon.com/HyzerMedia. I'm Dave Oster, here again with Kevin Gleason. Kevin, how's it going?
How's it going, everybody? Doing good today. Thank you again for the invite to do commentary for round two. Again, my name's Kevin Gleason. I'm the team captain for Latitude 64. And for this round, we'll have Lucas, Ben at -7, Dylan at -6, and Mike Moser at -5. This will be a fun and exciting round. Let's see how they do.
Absolutely. So two of the same guys from yesterday's card, two new guys. Mix it up a little bit, and we'll get started on hole one. Par 3, 288 feet, playing to all the main baskets today for this round. And pretty much just a hyzer or a straight shot, depending on which gap you're more comfortable with. Park it by the basket, try to start off this round with a birdie.
Okay, and starting off hole one, you got Lucas here with his harp. This kid is extremely well. If you didn't watch round one, he is really, really good, solid player at only, I believe, 16 years old.
Oh, and almost rings it up first hole.
So here is Ben. I have played with Ben in the past. I've only played with him maybe one or two times. I know he's a really nice kid. He says hello to me every time he sees me, and can't wait to watch him play.
He also had a good shot. Now we're taking a look at Dylan. Ooh, also almost ringing it up. You could hear the players calling for it.
Yeah, Dylan about threw it in. Here's Mike Moser setting up flat-footed eagle right side of the tree and putting it within 12 feet or so, maybe 10.
Yep, takes the widest of the gaps available and has similar, if not better, success than the other three on the card.
And there's Lucas starting off probably with a 25, 26 footer. That's a great start to the second round for him.
Absolutely. I think we talked about yesterday, getting off to a start with a decent putt can definitely give your nerves a little bit calmed down and give you confidence moving forward in the round.
And here's Dylan using his marble. I think it's probably the one with the stash on it, his signature marble. And there they go, starting off with all twos on hole one.
There we go. Star frame on hole one. Hole two, going over to another par 3, 285 feet against the main basket. Pretty much right out in the open. You can see it from the tee pad, just a little bit up and over, a little bit of a hill. And tree behind it if you go too long. Other than that, pretty easy hole.
Yeah, it looks like Lucas again has his harp. He throws this shot for about all his up shots. And if you haven't seen this kid throw, he throws about 500, 550 feet. So his harp game is where I would normally throw something a lot higher speed, I guess you would say.
Yeah, we saw a lot yesterday where the speed difference for the same shot between the two of you was probably 5 or 6 degrees of speed. So
correct. And there's Ben probably right at edge of the circle. Dylan up next, looking like maybe some kind of putter, maybe MVP. Little flip to it, threw it down the left side of the tree, let it run right. He knows that disc very well. He is 6 feet away.
yeah, great shot.
And here's Mike Moser again with his eagle, but not flat-footing it this time. Little couple step run up.
Catches a little stick and looks like it either didn't affect or kicked them even closer to the basket than it might have been.
Lucas there with a nice little touch sidearm. This kid has many variety of shots in his bag. And I think his sidearm is just as good as his backhand. And Ben just a little bit low on that putt. That's probably right outside the circle. Dylan with a nice two.
And other than Lucas catching that early branch, would have had 2 star frames to start off this round. And the first 2 holes playing as the first and third easiest holes for this round. Hole 2 being the first easiest at 0.77 under par. So definitely an easier layout for the second round here at DF Buchmiller, as we'll see. And we move over to hole 3. Par 3, 248 feet. Forehand line up and over the tree near the road, or backhand but low ceiling line if players decide to choose to take that. I think we'll probably see mostly forehands here like we did yesterday.
And it looked good out of Dylan's hand. You can tell by the way he's reacting that it looked like it was a little bit off, but I still say he's probably the edge of the circle. Mike's going for that tight right side that as long as you get the right throw on it and miss a branch, you should get a putt. You can see he's probably 22, 23 feet out. I'm not sure, that might be Lucas's felon. He likes to flick that a lot and almost flicked it in the basket.
Drops it on a dime.
Looks like Ben's lining up for their strike gap. And threw it beautifully. Maybe caught a little bit. I think he's right at the edge of the circle also.
Yeah, we'll probably have 4 looks, 4 birdies again.
Little stepper from. How did that not stay?
Yeah, that was surprising. Caught rim and then back edge chains and still worked its way out.
Is Mike a little bit low? Dylan looks like he might be a step or 2 inside the circle, maybe right around 22, 25 feet. And kept it a little bit right. Looks like it might have got away from him a little bit.
Yeah, I think it caught a little bit of the cage and got it up on its edge. A little bit of work left.
And 20-footer cover backer was no problem for him. And it might be about time for Lucas to putt.
Yeah, finally.
You know, when you have a 450-foot sidearm, 248-foot hole isn't that hard.
Yeah. Yeah, this definitely is going to be the highest scoring, I would guess, of the 4 rounds of this tournament, being the main or shorter layout at the easier course. So what do we have on hole 4?
Yeah, hole 4 is just down here to the left, right past this tree, tucked in this little area. If you do put a little bit too much on it, you could skip into the trees. You can really throw about whatever you want here, putter, mid-range, or maybe even a driver to get a skip in. Again, Lucas looks like he's going with his harp, and that looks like a great line. I would expect that to be right by the basket. Yeah, beautiful shot.
Yep, nice little roll. A little bit into the bushes. You might have a bit of obstructed footing, but, you know, no more than 10 or 12 feet.
Dylan up next. Looks like he got that a little bit high and maybe a little soft on it. And yes, got a good little roll.
Yeah.
Came in a little early, but he has a putt at it.
It's still downhill even when it gets over to that left side, so it's looking like these discs are filtering towards the basket even for good or average throws.
And there's Mike throwing an overstable AVR. I've been watching him throw AVRs for many, many, many years.
He probably has some of the original ones, or at least threw some of the original ones back in the day, I bet.
Oh, I'm sure he does. That looks like a good line, too. Almost looks like an ace run if it stays clean.
I think it was a little bit left side, maybe in the bushes near where Lucas is, perhaps.
Yeah, and here's Dylan, probably right at edge of circle. And again, just a tad bit right on his putt. Lucas looks to be about 15, 20 feet away. Great putt, dead center. Another birdie for him. So if you've noticed on these first 4 holes, this layout is a lot shorter than the first round coverage if you did watch that. It's more of what I would consider a deuce or die course. You're really wanting to shoot over 10 down to put yourself in competition for for the rest of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And that can certainly make for some exciting golf. I've heard some people say that gets a little bit boring, but being only one of the 4 rounds for this tournament, I think it makes it for a good, interesting of diversity of the 4 different rounds.
Yeah, correct. I think the same thing. I don't mind a little pitch and putt, birdie or die course. But here we go into hole 5. Hole 5 is a trickier of a green. It's 342 feet. You want to follow the line that the drone's going, but if you push it too far past the basket, you can see it falls off to the left side. So probably a sidearm by Lucas will be coming in perfectly because it'll hit the heel and not follow down the left side. Somebody like Mike that throws backhand, or maybe Mike will throw a roller, will be the shot for him, but it has a chance of fading down the hill. And it looks like Lucas just had a little bit earlier release on that.
Yeah, probably like you were saying, trying to take it a little bit wider, crash into the hillside a little early. Actually wound up somewhere where he was yesterday for the ultimate pin, it looked like.
And yes, there goes Mike with a roller. And it'll fight up the hill.
I did want to be more.
And what's that? Right outside the circle?
Yeah, a little bit further.
Maybe 40-footer, a little tricky, straight drop off behind the basket. You really have to have a good touch on this hole because if you do fall out left, it will glide to the out of bounds road or even just far down the hill. I think Ben would have been real happy with that shot on the first round. That's about where the practice basket was earlier.
Yeah, it looks like turned it over a little bit for this round.
Yeah.
But
well, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Dylan looks like he's put a good, well, coming in a little short, but he'll have a putt. Lucas has a dangerous putt here, you know. And he gave it a great bid and it set down, so good for him. Let's see what Ben does. Will Ben do the same thing or give it a layup? That was a good little floaty bid by Ben. Maybe a little bit more height on it, and he would have had a chance of dropping right in there. Dylan has the safest putt out of everybody, being down the hill.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to miss it, you want to miss where Dylan is here.
And again, for the third time, he was a little bit right. Mike with a little bit low. I'm sure that drop off had to have been in the back of his head. Lucas probably 12-footer to clean up his par save. It looks to be taking a little more time than normal.
Yep, just making sure he gets it in. This is playing as the second hardest hole, so not surprising that we're not going to be seeing any birdies, although it did play just slightly under par. So
yeah, it's one of those holes that if you come up short, you're scared to run at it real hard. If you go long, it's a tough uphill putt. So I was a little bit long on mine, but here we go into hole 6, which is a pretty standard throw a putter or a mid-range straight ahead, something that fades right, let it go right, where somebody like Lucas might flick his harp again. I think Moser will probably throw an AVR. And there's Lucas with his harp, asking it to get down.
it does before it hits to the road, and he will have probably close to circle's edge putt.
And no, it looks like Mike's going with a rock here. So he's probably, and he got a little bit low on it. He was looking for that thing just to turn and slide right into the basket. Ben also looking to have a mid-range. He's also, it looks like early release, but will it sneak through? And
Kinda.
it looks like it did
through.
a little bit. He did get a little bit farther. This looks like that same flippy, maybe MVP putter he was throwing earlier.
Similar to Mike, just not getting quite enough height to let it glide all the way there, but they'll definitely have looks at it.
There you go, Dylan. I'm sure it feels good to get that one to drop in.
Oh yeah, able to straighten it out after missing a few right side. Mike from a very similar distance.
Another good putt from Mike. Outside the circle, probably 35, 36 feet. Let's see if Ben can follow them. He's got the height. Just a little bit right, but that was a perfect height on that putt he just threw.
Catch a lot of chains, yeah.
And Lucas seems to be he's probably right at the edge of the circle, maybe a step inside, and hit it a little bit low.
So after those 2 putts by Mike and Dylan, we are all within 1 stroke, the entire lead card.
That's correct. Lucas is at -10. Everybody else is at 9. Here we go into hole 7. And if you watch the first round, we are playing to the basket that we played from hole 3. We played from 3 to 7's basket. It's right up here on the hill at only 317 feet. I'm going to say this thing plays about 360 feet or more. It's a tight S shot, almost an ante off the tee that you got to get to fight up a hill and run to the basket.
Yep, and I just want to thank Hempfield Botanicals for sponsoring this hole.
If Mike stays clean, he'll probably have about a 40 to 50 footer. I think at the top of that hill is about 50 foot to the basket.
Yeah, and it looks like you got just enough. He skipped a little bit up there that we could actually see it from the catch cam's perspective. Obviously, a little bit shorter would have been blocked, so that's kind of a good indicator of the distance.
And Dylan has more than enough distance on his drive to get up. I've seen him throw over 500 feet numerous times.
Oh yeah, there's actually an interesting course to see bombers play like Lucas and Dylan, where they can't just blow out the field by throwing 100 feet further than everybody. They actually have to throw these touch shots and power down and use the right disc and hit the lines that the course requires. So I like watching these guys trying to do that.
And Ben released with a nice little turnover. He's probably going to he got to skip up the hill. So he's also going to have that 40 to 50 foot range from the top of the hill. Lucas looks like he's right at the edge. And just a little bit short and left. Yeah, Mike looks to be about 40 feet. And I think somebody razzed him off to the side. The whole force tee pad is directly to the left of them right now. Again, left.
Yeah. Ben's only a couple inches off on the last 3 or 4 holes from being a couple more strokes down.
He is. He's getting the perfect height on it. It's maybe his, I try to tell people you can kick that left shoulder if you're a right-handed putter. Kick it backwards or kick it forwards a little bit. If you're missing right, push that thing back a little bit, and it'll level out your putt and put you more on line. So.
Yeah, that's great advice. So Dylan with the birdie. Rest of these guys tapping in their pars.
And I doubt there was very many birdies inside the circle on this hole. I'm going to say most of them, if they got hit, were probably outside, probably the edge of that hill at that 40-foot mark. It's a great hole. It flows very well. It's just hard to get up to.
Yep, sure. Go ahead. Sorry.
Hole 8 here. All you're trying to do here is throw over the trees and let it crash left. If you're backhand, let it crash right. If you're sidearm, be careful that you don't saw it off and throw it up too high with the sidearm, because it is running to the right a lot faster than it is for the backhands. And I'm going to say this is probably, it looks to be maybe a destroyer for Dylan. And he caught that limb a little bit, but I believe he has a putt.
It looks like the same disc that he threw on 5, where he threw a nice wide shot, but it kind of just dove down a little bit too early for him.
And here's Mike throwing his T-Rex that he threw in the – is that it? And it got back in. Come on. So Mike's T-Rex found the road. He'll luckily be putting for par pretty close. So that's the one good thing about that, I guess.
Oh, and Luke is almost ringing it up again. These guys are scaring these baskets left and right.
Yeah, Lucas's heart definitely wants to find the bottom of the cage, it seems like. That looks like a great line that Ben put it on. If it has enough distance. And misses all the trees. There's so many little trees right there that limbs and stuff it can hit.
Got caught up a little bit.
Ben with about 50-footer probably.
Ooh.
Yeah, gave it a little kind of half bid layup run.
Yeah, seen that out of bounds right there. Probably didn't want to give too much of a commitment, but got it close.
Dylan with the stash marvel, and he just seems to be just a little bit to the right on 3 or 4 putts now. So here's Mike with his comebacker to save his par, looking to be about, what, 20 foot, 22 foot?
Yep, looks like something like that.
Yeah, that's a great putt by Mike. I'm sure he'd rather have the 2, but the 3 is better than the 4.
That's right.
Especially on a course like this. Those 4s on these little deuce or die courses really will eat you up. And there's Lucas taking another birdie, and now we have a couple 9s, a 10 and 11.
Yeah, certainly not going to see too much score separation, barring a large string of birdies or any mistakes by anybody. But it'll shuffle around for the next round when we are moving over to Shiprock for the second 2 rounds. But for now, we'll move on to our last hole on the front 9. Thank you to Carbella Designs for sponsoring it. Par 3, 217 feet, main basket. For this hole, pretty much just straight in front of you. Can't take it too wide, left or right. It's a little bit downhill, so you've got to control the speed of the disc as you land.
And Lucas got it way too right, hit a tree, and put it about 8 feet away. So I'm going to say I'm pretty sure that Dylan is throwing a berg right here. To those that haven't thrown a berg, it goes straight, and when it hits the ground, it pretty much stops. So it's a great disc to throw on a hole with a drop-off behind it because it really won't go too far. Mike here will probably have one of his AVRs. He's on flat-foot and AVR, probably put it out to the left and let it turn just a little bit to the right. It's almost like I know this man's game.
Yeah, that's a good call. Like Tony Romo calling football over here. And yeah, we saw both Dylan and Mike go a little bit long. They had good speed, but just the slope downhill maybe looks less than it actually is. Whereas we see Ben coming in early and just sliding right up to the pin. So
yeah, Ben played the hole perfectly. It's a touch shot, short hole, 217 feet. It's easy to get it away from. And Dylan, a little bit high. He had that bush to work with. Mike looks to be just a little bit over, straddled out, and 1, 2, 3 pump in.
That's it.
Yeah, that was a good putt for Mike with the bushes around him. A little bit pinched off. So. And I'm gonna say Lucas gets this birdie right here. That's a extra birdie for him after being a little bit right on that release. That tree really knocked him into a good spot.
Oh yeah, certainly a lucky kick for him.
And Dylan closing out a par.
So 3 guys at 10 strokes. Lucas a little bit ahead with 12 down, halfway through the second round here. That's this tournament. I want to thank our supporting sponsors, Carbella Design and Tona Group. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to Kevin Gleason for joining me as well.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and we will see you all over on the back 9.